Okay, Suzuki is now done. No, it's not over. Suzuki is now done, and after having to go through several painful losses just to eventually beat the Suzuki concepts, I have now done just that, and thank God for that, because personally I hated that Tsukuba race. I'm just gonna be out with it. I really hated it. It's probably one of the worst one-make race events I think I've done overall. Certainly one of the harder ones anyway. Can I actually get an ISF, or sorry, the IS-200 from here? I think it's at least worth checking. And I can get a Yaris from here, but won't be the pink one, unfortunately. Unless I can go to Lexus. I think I might be able to buy one from there if I remember, because Lexus is one of those manufacturers. I think there might be one here. Yes, there is. The IS-200. And also the IS-300, which I think can also be entered, but then again, maybe not, so... You know what? We'll go with this one. Took me a while to figure this out, but I think I've actually got my choice now. We're using the IS-200 for this Altezza race, because I'm pretty sure this can be entered in the event. Pretty sure this is an eligible entry, because the IS-200 and the Toyota Altezza are both the same cars, basically. And I think, just in case, I'll give this thing an oil change. Just because I want to make sure that I have got a good enough car to win. I think from what I know, our next event should be easy enough, but in case if there's any power deficits I might have to overcome, hopefully that does give me a little bit of an advantage. I think it should give me at least 10 horsepower. I think we can enter the event now at Toyota, if I remember, because it's an eligible car for entry. Yes, it is. So we can use either the IS-200 or the IS-300 Sport Cross. So glad that manages to clear the air at least. This is a one-make race between Altezzas that showed the undeniable enjoyment of front-engine, rear-wheel drive cars. So we're going to Tsukuba Circuit, followed by one lap of Suzuka, then Apricot Hill, Motegi Full, and then Fuji 05 to finish off. So, let's go and do it. I also just remembered, with the international releases of this game, they're not known as Toyota Altezzas outside of the Japanese version. They're mainly known as the Lexus IS-200s, and that's basically what it is for the international releases. I think that's what the case is. Anyway, basically the Altezza race can be done using either the Lexus IS200 or the IS300, depending on your preference. So hopefully I can win this. Because technically speaking, the Toyota Altezza is also known as the IS200 in some regards. And hopefully, given that I gave this thing an oil change, that additional power will help me out. As the rear of the pack IS200 really did nothing to get out the way for when I was entering the corner. Kind of just cut me off a little bit, but you know what, it's fine. I did check on the wiki page for this event to see if there were any power disadvantages, and from what I can see, I don't think so. But because I wanted to make sure that I did have at least a matching power advantage with the AI, that was why I did the oil change. And so far at least, it seems to be working. Because I am now at the front of the field, and I think what that means is this event might not be too hard. And the other thing that's also really helping me is the fact that this event is also technically a one-make event for Lexus. And also because, well, the difficulty is not too much of a concern either, which also helps. And it looks as though I am now pulling away from the IS300, even though I did absolutely no tuning to this car whatsoever. So I'm actually glad Polyphony made this event easy, because, or at least this first race easy, because I really was not wanting to go through another Tsukuba race like that one I had with the Suzuki Concept Swift that I had just last time around. It was honestly quite painful, to say the least. Especially considering the pace deficit I had to the leading GSX. I practically had to boot him out the way just to beat him. And in a lot of ways it did also take a few painful losses for me to come down to doing that. But this time around, a much more comfortable race compared to before, and also an 8-second margin of victory, or nearly 8-second margin of victory. So to be honest, pretty easy if you ask me. At least it was easier than I thought it was going to be. Anyway, next. If I were to take a guess, this is probably not going to be easy, but we'll wait and see what happens. I get why it might be confusing, to some people because, well, even though this is a Toyota one-make race, it can be confusing, but I should technically remind you that Lexus is technically to Toyota what Acura essentially is to Honda. In other words, it's pretty much their American luxury brand, even though the GT series would later brand Lexus as being a Japanese car brand. So currently third, as we're heading through the snake corners, and trying to see if I can maybe get to the front of the field here. Would be nice if I could manage to look for an open door. Going for it through Degner. Kind of had to push him wide there a little bit, because otherwise I was not going to get the space I needed. And also because, well, at this point, Suzuka is basically a battlefield, and you really cannot afford to lose pace here at Suzuka compared to the AI in this game. But since I don't have any pace disadvantage, it looks as though I might be able to gain a second on the IS300. To some people it's confusing, because I know that while Lexus does fall under Toyota's umbrella, the other thing that's confusing is the fact that you have to head over to the American dealerships to get to Lexus and then to get the IS200. I know it does say what cars are eligible, but some people might be confused by that, and, you know, I can understand why there might be confusion involved. Although, it doesn't really matter because I win Suzuka by 3 seconds. So for once, the AI actually cut me some slack and let me off. Meanwhile, the other Japanese version, IS200, wound up finishing last. So the IS200 technically finished in first and last place, except for saying I am the superior IS200. Even though the payouts for this event are not exactly good ones, the prize we do get from this event, however, it's a pretty good one. And now we're at another course where the AI typically tends to be quite pacey. Not really bothered to do anything about the wheel spin because it's only temporary. And it looks as though this is where we've got another easy one make. So hopefully I can successfully manage to get myself to the front of the field pretty quickly once again. And it looks as though whatever difficulty spike I had before has now dropped off again for this event, which, to be honest, is what I needed. because it means I can actually get through this event now in a reasonable time, which is what I aim to do. So, already pulled out a second on the IS300, and it doesn't look as though anyone else is really going to be catching up to us. But thankfully, at least my domination over the AI is short-lived. And while there are some races in this game that I do wish were just a little bit longer, I can at least say the short sprint race formats we get with a lot of these one-make events, they seem to no doubt hold up their end of the bargain when it comes to at least competitive racing most of the time. And other times when you need easy events, well, this game will provide you with those easy events. Which is one of the things that I really like about this game. Some events can pretty much be balls hard, but other events can, well, pretty much be balls easy at the same time. It's definitely a mixed bag when it comes to where the difficulty spikes are present and where they're not. As I now have a 5-second gap up front. Just a little bit punchy there through the chicane, but able to get through the rest of the lap the way I should. And there we go. 3 out of 3 for the Altezza race. And this time the two Japan IS200s finish ahead of the normal IS200s. Talk about switching roles. Wait, have I saved a replay at Apricot Hill recently? Not sure if I have. Well, I could probably save a replay now just to make it easier. Alrighty, 2 races to go, and then after that we can then do the Yaris race, or Vitz race depending on your preference. And once again, 11 points, so looks as though this one is going to be piss easy. As far as what I can see. But anyway, we're pretty much past both of the AI's most competitive tracks now, so I reckon the rest of this event is going to be pretty easy from what I can see. Especially since we are technically closing in on the 90% completion mark. very quickly we move up into P2. So it looks as though we are progressing towards the front nicely. I probably didn't need to do the oil change, but I figured I had to do it anyway just because I wanted to see if whether it would give me any more of a lasting advantage than what it's already given me. I was trying to see if I could cut to the outside of the 300, but he was not leaving the door open enough for me to try it. Either that or he probably didn't see me in his rear view. Even though it doesn't matter because, well, I just shoot up his inside anyway. And that is now officially the lead taken in race 4. And now all that's really left for us to do is to just hold on and stretch our legs. Like we have been doing. I think when I checked prior to this event we were at 88.2% and now we're probably closing in on at least 88.7% in terms of game completion. But considering how many enduro events we have to get through, we've still got a very long way to go before we're finished with this game. Because we also have to do 3 24-hour events. And if possible, yes, I will be trying to make sure that I do those entirely on pure driving, because I've seen it being done before. But I just figured, you know, if I did the manufacturers with one make events in alphabetical order, then I at least figured there would be some gratitude to getting through these remaining events constructively. And at the moment at least, it does look like I am living up to that end of the bargain. And something else I've noticed is most of the field is relatively spread out, which is not what I was expecting, but either way, here we are. And just like that, 4 for 4 in the Altezza race. And I improve on my previous PB by 9 seconds. As it took me just under 5 minutes to win that race. And someone else did just manage to finish before the fade. So the top 3 are classified finishers. Now we've got 1 race to go. Alright, final race at Fuji Speedway 05, and I am pretty sure I did not save a replay here, so this might be where I get my replay saved, in all honesty. So that's probably what we're going to do. So, 11 points once again. You pretty much know what the drill is. We basically just get to the front of the field and already nod off to the best of starts because the AI were just weaving on track and basically position jockeying more or less. But either way, shouldn't really matter because, well, I will get past them pretty quickly, and I will also get to the front of the field pretty quickly. And giving him a side rub just to pretty much return serve. Wasn't anything egregious, was just pretty much a little... Yep, he definitely got some understeer on that corner exit. Made it pretty much a freebie for me on that corner exit. As I get a little oversteer through there. So, after a chaotic start to the race for me, didn't really matter once the lap got going. I was able to pretty much finesse my way through to the front of the field, and at this point it looks as though there is absolutely no stopping me, because the way this event has gone, it has been surprisingly easy. I was hoping for this event to be easier than the previous one, but I wasn't expecting it to be this easy, to be honest. Especially with the winning margins that I have got out of this event. For which I will say there is a lot of them. If you're wanting any cross-references as to how easy it's been. To put it simply, pretty easy. I'm also pretty sure once I am done recording this, I will take a break. Because I am getting pretty hungry now. And also because I am recording this again on a Sunday. Which means I can pretty much just afford to relax. So, through the final hairpin, and now up the long front straightaway. I think I probably will overwrite that other replay I saved because, well, this is the Fuji 05 layout, and also because, well, in general, I think I might get some better shots here because there are less shadows around Fuji. And once again, to manage to finish. And all that took me was just over half an hour to get through those 5 races. So let's now save this replay. Okay, replay saved, and now we will go and get our prize car. And the prize we get for winning this is the Toyota Altezza touring car, and this thing is blue. This thing has got a blue spoiler with blue wheels and blue mirrors. And it also has number 35. Interesting. Wait, isn't this car available in the Toyota dealership? I got a feeling that says it is. If I remember. At least I think it's available. I could be wrong, but I think there's one available somewhere. And no, there isn't. Okay, I take it back. Unless it's part of TRD. Actually, I'm gonna check TRD just because there is a model for it somewhere. And that's all it is. Okay, I guess the Altezza touring car is not for sale. Even though I did have to look across the Toyota branch to make sure of that. And we're now 89.1% complete, and we're up to 35,669 points overall. Nice. And yep, here is Toyota. And here is our Altezza touring car. This thing actually doesn't look too bad in blue, to be fair. Even though this was previously known as the Altezza race car. And sells for 95 grand. Obviously not going to do that because, well, this thing looks really cool, of course. No point in really selling it, to be honest. And, only 9 Toyotas overall. I almost thought for sure I had more than that, but guess I don't. Anyway, Altezza race is now done, and next time we will be doing the Vitz/Yaris race, coming in the next episode of GT4.